There you go. So the point of this, y'all, if you didn't understand, is get you a Madison. Okay.
Yep, get you a Madison.
Get you a Madison. That's what we all need. Jesus, I need a Madison. Okay. Hi, everybody. This is your host, Tommy Talks, and welcome to the NSSR. Like I said last episode, I got tired of saying the not so smooth roads. It's going to be a NSSR from now on. So welcome to the NSSR, where we're encouraging you to run your own race to medical school one day at a time. I'm super, super excited to have JR here with me. This is a really awesome day because he's a YouTuber, and this makes my month because he said my setup is awesome. So I'm excited. So what we're going to do is just get his story, get his lessons, and how they can apply to you. So without further ado, take it away.
So yeah, like Tommy said, my name is JR. I'm a first year medical student here at Mayo. And so yeah, super honored to be here. Still kind of in that, I don't know how I got here. Everybody's so brilliant, everybody's amazing, but I'm happy to be trying to get in where I fit in, and it's been awesome so far, and I'm honored for the opportunity to be here. I actually met Tommy for the first time when I interviewed a little over a year ago, and so it's nice to kind of have her as a fourth year, someone I can look up to, and then someone I can also engage in through mediums like this. So thanks for letting me join you today, Tommy.
No problem. I remember when we had our introduction meeting, and I was like, wait, I know him. Where do I know him from? He's like, I met you on an interview, and it was just full circle. It's awesome. So we're really glad to have you here. I'm glad to have you as a fellow student and as a friend and as a collaborator today. So what we're going to do is run through your 10,000 foot view of how did you deviate from this so-called mold that we always hear about? Because, we hear about the pre-med mold of you go to school, you do the science major for 4 years, you go straight to med school and no breaks, no deviations whatsoever. So how was your story different from that kind of globally?
Yeah, so I'll give you the brief kind of, like you said, 10,000 foot overview. I came into undergrad planning on being a professional athlete,
Okay.
Not planning on medical school at all. If the professional athlete route didn't work, I was gonna go into business or something like that. I didn't have anybody in my family who was a physician or anybody who I knew that was a doctor that kind of spurred that interest. So medicine was never even something I considered really.
Yeah.
And then I had a pretty traumatic injury that kind of introduced me to the field of medicine, and made some really nice relationships and mentors with some people throughout that experience. And because of that, though, I was late on the pre-med. I started pre-med basically sophomore year.
Right.
So had to really kind of crank through at the end. I ended up taking 2 gap years and to try to do some other things related to amping up my med school application, like research and shadowing and all those things. So yeah, 2 years off. I got married between that time. Thank you. And and then now I'm here. So that's kind of the overview, the 10,000 foot kind of how I deviated from the traditional route.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So you identified a lot of things that people would potentially relate to as one, coming completely on a different boat, just not even being in that space of I want to do medicine. And then 2, having something traumatic happen to them, because a lot of people really relate and connect to medicine through, unfortunately, being on the other end of it. And then the other thing too is coming in later than what your peers are. And that's really, like we talked about, the goal of this show is anyone who feels like, oh, I'm comparing myself to this mold of the standard pre-med student and I feel behind. And so I'm really glad that you brought those things out and how you took 2 years that you needed to do what you need to do to make yourself the ideal medical school applicant. So let's dig deep. Okay.
Yep.
So start at the beginning and kind of walk us through your journey.
Yeah. So I came into college. I went to Duke undergrad, and I came in as a recruited track and field athlete. And my goal coming into college, regardless of where it was going to be, was, okay, let me try to get myself to the Olympics somewhere.
Nice.
If I go to Duke, at least if the Olympics doesn't work out, I'll have some connections and a network and some other opportunities that may present themselves outside of the realm of sports. So the academic side was always kind of behind the athletic side for me as I entered undergrad. But actually my freshman year, my second meet of college, I dislocated my knee. And so I tore, all 4 stabilizing ligaments. I ruptured my hamstring. I tore my meniscus, and I had some perennial nerve damage. And they actually said that there was a high risk of amputation because they thought that I had vascular injury as well. So it was a huge kind of, oh, I'm going to be in the Olympics one day, to second meet of college.
Wow.
I don't know if I'm going to have a leg. And so that was a very, stressful experience, of course.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate enough to be at a institution like Duke. They said, if this was to happen anywhere, there's a few places where, the surgeons are going to be able to save your leg, get you at least back walking and things like that. And so my physician down at Duke, Dr. Dean Taylor, he kind of not only saved my leg, we had surgery about a week after the incident, but he kind of reinvigorated a sense of determination and motivation that I had. And he kind of presented it to me as like, all right, I'm going to do my part and try to just, reconstruct this knee the best that I can. And then if you want to get back to trying to compete again, if you want to get past just walking again and things like that, like, I'm going to be here for you. We're going to have a team of, medical professionals with the PT and everything like that. We're going to be here and just kind of help you reach whatever goals that you want to set for yourself. And so for me at the beginning, it kind of was like, when they were like, risk of amputation, the last thing on my mind was ever competing again. It was more just like, hopefully I get to keep my leg after surgery. I still had my leg. I was like, all right, like, we're fine with that.
Step one.
Step 1, check, we're good. And then as I was kind of being able to get back to walking and, exercising and lifting and things like that, over the course of 18 months, I was actually able to get back onto the track team and compete my junior and senior year. And I captained the team and qualified for the conference championships and these other things that I was not expecting to be able to do, but with the support and encouragement of my physicians and the PT team, I was able to get there. And then it also showed me how much of an impact that a physician can have on an individual.
Right.
Not only physically, but again, like, I was in a, depressed kind of, like, I came in only an athlete almost. And, I felt like that was taken away from me, like, completely right away. And so in terms of like my mental space and just everything, I just was not in a great place. But my doctor showed the influence that he can have outside of just fixing me physically, but reinvigorating that confidence, that motivation, that drive to kind of do some things. And so that was my introduction into medicine. It showed me the power of medicine, both in terms of helping people physically and emotionally, just the kind of comprehensive nature that physicians can have on a patient.
That's amazing.
And so, yeah, that was it was a really good introduction after the incident.
After the fact. Yeah, it's amazing after the fact.
Yeah. So after that, then I started my pre-med journey, kind of sophomore year, and I did feel completely behind, like what you were saying, because, some people had, my first year I was taking, the easiest courses possible so that I could have the easiest practice schedule
exactly
for track. And so I wasn't taking the chemistries or the biologies or anything like that. And so starting sophomore year, I kind of was like, everybody already took Chem 101 and, intro to biology or whatever. And now I'm starting it. So now I'm having to like kind of overload my schedule and trying to catch up. And I feel like everybody's already steps ahead, and they knew they wanted to be a doctor well before they even came in. And so I did feel that sense of falling behind, because I just did not fit that mold. But what I found was there was actually a lot of people who don't fit that mold that I was able to really kind of resonate with and go through the journey with. A lot of athletes there at my school who were similar and was like, oh, actually, let me try the pre-med route. And so we were able to kind of have a group of people that we kind of built a community around that may not be the traditional medical pre-med experience, which really helped me.
That's awesome.
And then after graduating, I was able to finish all of my pre-med courses. I didn't do great. I got, all of my stats and everything are out there on YouTube anyway. So I only had like a 3.4 GPA.
Yeah.
So I wasn't this top tier, in terms of GPA
that
and
part,
academics and stuff.
That part, because I feel like it's, especially now, I think a lot of times we're pushed this narrative that like you have to be the perfect medical student or pre-med student to get into medical school, and no. No.
Yeah, literally. Like I found that and I talk a lot about this on my channel, but that when you're applying to medical school, like they want to figure out, they're trying to recruit people who they believe will be good doctors, and it's not only what you may have in your mind, because when you're a pre-med student, like you're looking and you just feel this constant sense of competition, and if somebody gets a good grade, then they're going to be a better applicant or whatever, and that sense of like always competing against other people instead of just kind of finding comfort in who you are. And if you feel like you are called to pursue this profession, then you already have the foundation of being a good doctor, and the other things that you can bring to the table, other people won't be able to, and vice versa. And we don't have to get into this kind of constant feeling of competition. And then when I was able to kind of step away from that and focus on the things that I did well, the things that I can do well, I felt like I was able to stand out a little bit as an applicant. So yeah, definitely don't feel like you have to be the 4.0 student, because I was far from it. I have about 3 C's on my undergrad GPA, and still ended up at a really good school. So after graduating, I took 2 gap years. I graduated in May and got married in July. So I was engaged for my entire senior year, and got married. And I wanted to spend 2 years. Originally, I was thinking about just 1 gap year, but I wanted to spend 2 years kind of making sure I set the foundation for my marriage. That was going to be like the top priority, and just kind of getting kind of settled and everything with that before I jumped into a completely new realm of life, which is med school. And I wanted my wife, Madison, to kind of feel comfortable too in where we were before we kind of entered a new season together.
And I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad you said that, because a lot of times people have different priorities and they're afraid to prioritize them, because medical school is one thing that it does take a lot. And I was talking to Kafayet in the last episode, and she actually echoed something very similar. And she said, it's good to prepare yourself and prepare those who support you when you're trying to go through this journey. And so highlighting again the fact that taking the time to do that is very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if you're married too, which kind of fits into that non-traditional mold. This whole medical profession, is it's not a very direct kind of experience where you know exactly where you're going to be, what you're going to be doing for the next 15 years.
Exactly.
I know where I'll be for 4, then after that I don't know, and then
I'm in that position right now.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you're bringing somebody along for the ride with you, it's something to, I think preparing can't be emphasized enough.
Definitely.
And so, we took 2 gap years. I was doing research in a sports medicine clinic, an ortho. Definitely what I'm interested in, probably because of my experience.
Yeah.
So I was able to do a lot of research there, and that kind of just reestablished my passion for medicine, or just continued to build, I guess, that passion for medicine. As I actually started to look into things outside of just, let me try to get the best grade on this orgo test. I was actually able to kind of see medicine from a different perspective during those gap years, which was really nice. And again, it just kind of emphasized to me that this was something I was passionate about. And I also got to build a lot of good mentorship relationships with some people in that field as well. So that also kind of just continued to reinvigorate my passion for medicine. And then about a year ago, I applied. And when I was applying to medical school, I applied to about 20 schools,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them were top 10 schools. And so, yeah, I applied to about 20 schools, probably 20 out of the top 30.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like midway through, I checked, what is it, SDN, Student Doctor Network or
Oh,
whatever. And that was where that was where I messed up.
yeah. That was
Yeah.
that point right there.
I felt like, why was I applying to these crazy schools? I don't have the GPA for it.
Mm.
I did like okay on the MCAT, but not great. You know, again, my stuff is out there. I'm not whatever. I got a 5.11, so it's not. And I took the MCAT twice, by the way.
Ooh,
So
shout
that's
out that
also
part.
something. Yeah, it's definitely something. I took the MCAT twice. I took the MCAT. The first time was a few months after I got married.
Poor
Move.
move.
Not smart. I read that you need to take like 3 months or so, to study for it. So I was like, I get
You're
married in
still in the
July.
honeymoon phase, man. You can't do
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. Like I took it in, what was it? I don't know, September or something or whatever, a few months after July, thinking that I'll have the months. But, we moved from Minnesota to Colorado. We went to Jamaica
Ooh.
for a week for our honeymoon. I started my research job. It was just,
Oh, wow.
it wasn't the move. So I didn't do well my first time, but I ended up taking it again. And then I did decent, still not 90th percentile or whatever, but better than the first time. And then, but going back to what I was saying, when I was applying, I got into a huge panic because I felt like I was actually not going to get into the schools that I applied for. And when I started to kind of compare my stats to other people's stats,
What word did
like
you say? Compare?
Ooh, it's dangerous. It is dangerous. That was when I kind of started losing confidence in myself.
Mm.
I was like, I'm not going to any of these medical schools that I applied for. So I ended up applying late to like 5 or 6 more schools that were not, those top tier in terms of the rankings.
Right.
It's just like, okay, I'm not getting into these. Hopefully it's not too late. Maybe some of these other ones where my stats kind of, fall in line a little more, will be more receptive to my application. So I did go through that phase of applying, of like freaking out because I was comparing myself to other people. But I was extremely fortunate to have a successful application season, and
it was successful, y'all. Like,
yeah,
he's here.
I'm here. Oh my goodness, yeah. So that helped a lot to kind of boost my confidence as I came in here. I know the what is it when you feel like everybody around you
Imposter
is better?
syndrome?
The imposter syndrome is, it can be real. And so having a successful application season did help kind of with that transition and helping me try to avoid that as much as possible. But the people around me are geniuses, so it is tough. But I do feel like I'm where I need to be. So
good, and we're happy that you're here. Like I keep saying, I think I'm so happy that you shouted out the fact that you were not the perfect applicant, and even during the interview season, there's a lot of self-doubt. Everyone goes through that. You hurry up and wait. That's most of the interview season. You apply, and then you're like, now what? And in that period, it's very easy to compare yourself and, scroll and see everybody else is getting interviews. I haven't gotten an interview, or, all these people are posting their stats and I am nowhere near this, or I don't feel qualified enough. And like you said, there are elements that you bring to the table that those people may not have. And the nice thing about this, and I want to encourage all the pre-meds that are out there, is that medical schools are looking for diversity, not in the keyword kind of buzzword phrase that we always use it, but in the sense of they know, or at least they're starting to figure out, that many different types of people, many different types of experiences are what make collaborations work. If I sat on here on YouTube and told my story over and over and over and over for 10,000 videos, y'all would log off after the first video. The point is, you need multiple stories, multiple points of view to make collaborations work, to make people work well together, to make medicine work, because there's many different types of patients out there. You need many different types of doctors to relate to them. So for that, you need many different type of perspectives. So they're not looking for the cookie cutter applicant to fit a mold, because that's not going to do anything. That's the same type of person over and over. And so be confident in your story and be confident in the fact that people want to hear it. And that's what this space is all about. You know, making sure that you see these stories, you hear these stories. Like JR was lucky enough to have people around him who had similar experiences, but I know there's people out there that are going through this by themselves, and they've never heard of anyone that went to medical school after taking a gap year or after getting married, or all these different things that we're going to hear on this channel. So please be confident in the life that you've lived, the experiences that you've had, and be confident that that is going to make you the doctor you need to be. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox. But thank you so much for sharing that. I think there are so many pieces that people can pick up from. So much wisdom has been dropped. I want you to dig into a little bit the emotional aspect of this. So yes, you know, you went through this and it was traumatizing. Yes, you went through the application process and it was fearful. But what were the things, like at the critical points where you decided to switch from athletics to medicine? What were the things that terrified you about that decision when you decided to apply? What were the things that, you know, you were thinking about when you decided to come back after being married, taking 2 years off? What were the things that were going through your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I did make that transition from like athletics to medicine, I was extremely nervous and just fearful because it was a field that I was not confident in. I didn't have, like I said, my parents aren't doctors.
Right.
You know, I don't have anybody in my immediate circle of, you know, community who I can look at and like, that's a doctor. And just as like a Black man or just a Black person in general, you know, we don't have too many people in this field that we just see and can resonate with from that point of view. And so it was something where I felt like I was just like diving in the deep end, you know, not really knowing, but it was like the impact that my physician had on me. I wanted to be able to have that impact on other people. And so even though I was like, I don't know what's on the other side, I'm just going to jump over and just, you know, we'll see what happens, because I feel like if I can survive it and I can get to that point and have the ability to impact people and influence the lives of people that like my physician did to me, like it's going to be worth it. And so it was a fearful leap, but, you know, I still felt compelled to take that leap just because of the impact that my doctor had on me. And then when I was applying, like I said, it was extremely stressful. One thing that I was very fortunate to have is my wife, who kind of kept me grounded. And she has like more confidence in me than I probably do in myself. And she's just like, oh, you got it. You're a beast, JR. You're going to crush it, you know, whatever. And so, you know, just having somebody in my corner who can kind of boost me up like that made it a lot more of a bearable season, because it is just hurrying up to weight, like you said. And after those 2 years, though, it was difficult because we started to kind of get into a routine of doing something, you know, different, not being in school. Not being in school for 2 years is, you know, you kind of not complacent, but you get out of that school kind of mode.
Right.
So you're just working, you go, you do your work, you come home, you're fine, you know, whatever. And my wife was working too. She's a teacher, and so she was already in her school district, you know, and we were both coaching too. So we had athletes, and we were coaching track and basketball for high school. So we just kind of had.
Y'all must be like, sorry to interrupt, but y'all must be like the most fit couple out there. I'm sitting here struggling to walk 10,000 steps a day.
I lost a little bit. I don't really do much anymore, but my wife, she got it. Yeah, so we were coaching, and we just kind of had our community, and we had developed for 2 years, and then the plan was to apply after that. But then when the time came to actually do it, it was something like, you know, man, we're gonna be changing everything. We've already kind of hit roots down a little bit, exactly. And so that was difficult. And again, I'm just fortunate that my wife, Madison, was like, I'm down. Like, I'll find a job out in Minnesota. It was also nice too, because, so Mayo was like my top choice because my wife is from Minnesota.
Okay.
So yeah. So when I was applying to all these schools, it was like, if for some way I got into like, the Mayo, that's like right down the street from where my wife grew up, like that's going to be ideal.
Yes.
And so that, thank you, Jesus, happened.
Amen.
And, but before, not knowing where you're going to be going, she was like supportive to just kind of, we'll take the leap, we'll do whatever we need to do. We're very like rooted in our faith as well. So we just kind of were like, we'll go wherever we felt like God was leading us.
Amen.
And so it was difficult to make that transition from where you feel like you're grounded, you're already in your routine of life, and people who are taking these gap years, you may be 10 years out of school. I have classmates who are 40 years old and they switched careers. They've been 10 years in a completely different career, and they're changing their path. And so it's a very difficult kind of leap to take. And sometimes you have that supportive corner, that's willing to take that leap with you. And sometimes you do take that leap by yourself. But again, I felt like I was so compelled to pursue this career that it was just that really was more of a drawing factor than like the roots here that may be like pulling me back. I was more drawn towards this career than being stationary. So that helped me overcome kind of that process of like, okay, we're going to change our entire life and walk into a completely new season of life. And again, my wife was rocking it out with me, and here we are.
There you go. So the point of this, y'all, if you didn't understand, is get you a Madison. Okay.
Yep. Get you a Madison.
Get you a Madison. That's what we all need. Jesus, I need a Madison. Okay. No, and you hit the nail on the head. Like, support is key. It is like when you don't have that confidence in yourself, you need someone that's going to say, hey, you can do it. And, to people who out there don't have that support, because that is very real. That's what this is about. It's for us to be able to be that support for you and tell you, hey, people have done it, you can do it too. If this is the boost you need to say, hey, I've been hearing that little medicine voice in my head say, go for it. I've been hearing God tell me like, this is where you need to be. Do it. If that is what you are being called to do, please do it. The way I've always seen life is that wherever, and I'm also rooted in my faith, wherever God wants you to be, He will put you there and He will get you there. So if there's a calling to you to do medicine, if there's something that you have a passion for, it can even not be medicine, honestly. If there's something that you have a passion for, if there's something that you are being pulled to that is taking over more so than where you are and you don't feel comfortable anymore, pursue it, run after it, because you are going to find those connections, the encouragement, the steps, everything that you need to get there. But you need to start, because if you don't start, none of these things are going to fall into place. So 1, get you a medicine. 2, follow your heart. Okay. But yes, no, thank you so much. I am beyond grateful to hear your story like in full finally. And I'm glad that the whole world gets to be encouraged by it, because it is a testimony of sorts. I think it's something that people can draw from. It's something that people can be inspired by. And I think it's something that people can relate to. And we need that, especially in these crazy times when things are just all over the place. A lot of uncertainty. We need to see that, in the midst of chaos, there is progress, there is hope. And that's what this is about. So thank you so much, JR. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Tommy. This was awesome. And I'm so honored again for just to be able to talk to you, share this story, and to be able to continue to build on this relationship. Because Tommy, you're amazing. Everybody, this woman right here is amazing. Like she's the boss. So I'm honored. And like you said, even if people may not necessarily have a Madison, the social media medical pre-med community is like,
we're here. We're here.
We're here. Exactly.
We're here.
And so, just like people can feel completely free to reach out, I'm sure, to you, Tommy, to me.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask
all these
next.
Other people, like, yeah.
How do people, if people are interested in getting in contact with you, getting connected with you, how do people do that?
So my primary thing is Evolving Medic. I have the Instagram, YouTube.
I'm going to tag it.
You can even, shoot me an email. You can DM me. I feel like most people usually just DM me at Evolving Medic, but Evolving Medic at Gmail is also the email for that. And then my YouTube channel too. I'm always through my comments. I answer DMs almost, right away if I'm not
We're
in an
gonna tag
admin.
all of that up here.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I love talking to pre-meds, other medical students. Like, that makes my day. So please feel free to reach out.
Definitely. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I am super, super grateful. This has been amazing and fun, and it has honestly made my Saturday. Should I say it's Saturday?
Too.
It's Saturday. Whatever.
Mine too.
Anyway,
Thank you.
thank you. And everybody, please thank JR. I am very grateful to have him on here. He's a wonderful human being to get to know, wonderful person to be a classmate with, wonderful person to collaborate with as well. Please go to his channel. Please go to his social media. His story is amazing and he is very transparent. Please check him out and support him as well. And this has been your host, Tommy Talks. This has been the NSSR, and we will see you for the next episode. Thank you.